September is National Recovery
September
Month,
is
and it's
National
also
Recovery
a time to
Month,
honor
and it's
the
also
power
a
of
time
kinship
to honor
caregiving.
the power of kinship
Family
caregiving.
stepping in and stepping
Family
up to care for children
stepping
when
up
their
to care
parents
for
are unable
children
to do so.
when their parents are unable
Erin
to do
and
so.
her family story
Erin
shows
and
the
her
power
family
of
story
recovery,
shows
but
the power
also
of
the
recovery,
strength of
but
kinship
also the
caregiving.
strength of kinship caregiving.
Erin, a mother whose journey through addiction could have torn her family apart, but instead, through love, recovery, and kinship caregiving, it is a story of redemption. And Erin, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for allowing us to be in your home. And as I told you earlier off camera, I was like, there's so many people, and I guess it's the stigma surrounding addiction that makes people not really feel comfortable having that conversation out loud. And even in conversations and talks with you, I feel like I still have to tread lightly. But you have such an empowering feeling now that you've overcome it. So tell us a little bit more about your story.
One thing that I try to do is recover out loud. Recovering out loud helps me, and it also saves people's lives. I am uniquely qualified. I have lived experience to share my experience, strength, and hope with others. So I feel like I found my purpose in life. So a little bit about me. I struggled with mental health since I was young. It runs on my dad's side of the family, and my dad kind of knew I struggled with mood swings. By the time I was 15, I was on a lot of different medications. So I struggled with that for a long time. And I was on a lot of different medications. I struggled with, finding my self-worth. I dabbled in drugs since I was young. But I really didn't become really addicted until I was about 32. And that was after I had my first child. I was married and my marriage fell apart. And I just went over the hill.
My name is Susan and I'm Erin's mom.
My name is Carson and I'm her father. She was a doll. I go out and have to mow the lawn and plant flowers, and she'd come outside to be with me all the time. And she'd help me plant flowers when she was only 3 or 4 years old, and it was, she was wonderful.
When she was living with us and she had her children, she had her first child, we took care of the child because we knew we had to, because at that time she was pretty heavy on drugs. When she started, you just don't realize it at first. Then she had her second child, and they just lived with us and we took care of them. She was pretty much on the streets, but we knew that we were going to keep her in our house and always have a place for her to come back to, because the children loved their mom, but knew there were times that they'd cry just waiting for mom.
When I was younger, my grandparents kind of shielded away from me. Like, I didn't really think, I just thought, oh, well, she's just going off. Like, that's what she does. It was normal for me. I didn't think it was like, oh, mommy's leaving again. I just thought, oh, well, she'll be back in like a week or two, because it would be on and off. And sometimes I remember when I was little, I didn't even remember she was my mom. Like, she came back and I was like, who are you? And then I remembered, I was like, oh, that's your mom. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because she would leave for so long and then she would come back, and we were just so distracted by being kids. Yaya and Papa did a great job trying to shield all that away from us, trying to make sure that we didn't think about, oh, your mom's off doing this and that. They kind of just kept us in this little home, brought us to trips, and we were so distracted, so we didn't really think of it as like that. We kind of thought of Yaya and Papa as mom and dad.
When she was pregnant with her third child, she had taken the children a couple of times, and it was not a good situation. But then she came back. On the last time, she was in a rehab in Greenville, and she was very in bad trouble. We went to a lawyer because we knew that she and the children would not survive if she took them again. We went to a lawyer and started procedures to get custody of the children. That was on a Thursday or a Friday. But we knew we weren't going to court till Monday. So on a Saturday, she was on her way home, and that morning I decided we had to do something. I packed a small bag went to my son's, and she was in a very bad way on her way home. So I left with the children.
I couldn't take care of my kids. Actually, my oldest daughter was like 4, taking my youngest downstairs, feeding her cereal and stuff like that, because I was in the bathroom getting my fix.
So it would just be constant, like, does she love me? Does she love us? Like, you know, because I would have to take care of the kids. I was always the one. I would change diapers when I was 7. I would get them ready for school. I'd get them on the bus. I'd walk them to the bus stop. I brushed their hair. I brushed their teeth. I taught them how to cook. I cooked. I cleaned as much as I could at 7 through maybe 10, 11.
Well, it was very difficult because we loved our daughter, and it was heartbreaking to see her going downhill. And we had her in rehabs all over the country, and we decided that that's what we would do, that we were going to try to get our daughter all of the help that she could get. And then making the decision to take custody away from her was heartbreaking also. After we did, we actually had a call, I don't remember how, from Kinship Care. And I did go to meetings and took Journey as a baby. But it's a heartbreaking decision. But in the situation, you just do what you have to do to help your child, but to save your grandchildren.
My mom and dad, I don't know what I would do without them. I'm telling you, they have been so patient and kind with me, patient with me getting my recovery. They kept that bridge open for me to be with my kids, but they started putting those safety rails up for the kids. And I think that is important because I know at a time it is scary for them because they're like, okay, we gotta protect these kids. But what my mom and dad did, their kinship care, was so important to this whole relationship.
My grandparents, they really wanted us to be children. They didn't want us to think of all the things that mom was doing. They wanted us to be kids and just be kids that had a normal childhood, that would go out and play hopscotch and go out with their friends and go to trampoline parks and stuff. But when I was with my mom, I couldn't really do that because she had kids. We had children, and especially when we lived in Utah for a little bit. And I had to do that a lot with her because our grandparents weren't there. We were hours away. We'd have to go to different apartment rooms and get other people to help us out. And it was just more so I was mom, not playing it, because I felt like I had to do that. I didn't really have the option.
I had some people tell me, well, you need to just tell her she kick her out. I said, I can't do that. I love, she's my daughter. I love her, and I wanted if we could get her well. And unfortunately, the thing was that she ended up with going to jail, and then she got smarting, and she just stopped.
A lot of people, said, well, it was my rock bottom. There are people that, it's a different rock bottom for them, but mine was facing 25 years in prison. And, at that point, talking to my girls over a video was one of the hardest things. I knew right then, this is the end of my life. I need to make a change now and right now.
We were lucky because we were able to go to a lawyer to obtain custody. But there are not a lot of people that can do that. That's why I think it's so important that people know that there's help out there and there are resources.
So when I first came back, in my head, I knew I was ready for this. But in their eyes, in my parents' eyes, okay, wait a minute, we've seen this before. We can't, she could, any minute now go right back to the streets, Anytime I would go to a store, where are you going? How long? Why are you going? But I had to understand that. So there was a point where I would get mad and angry, and I'd be like, gosh, I'm an adult, I'm a grown woman. But I had to start being like, oh, I've done some damage here. Getting a bond back with my 3 girls, especially my 2 oldest, was very hard. I had to be very patient with them.
She put forth the effort to get a job. She had a promotion. She has a car. She has her whole life together. She's getting a house, you know? That's all I think I could ask for in a moment like that. And I think the proudest moment is that she's here now. And the most important thing for her that she's doing now is that she's actually trying. And she's trying to have a relationship with all of us. And I'm proud of her for pushing herself to that point.
The day I graduated college, I think was the day both of my girls said, "Mom, we are so proud of you." I know. And they were like, "Mom, we want to go to college." You know, it was so cool. I mean, I graduated with honors. And so it was just, you know, it was really cool, you know. And I think after that, them seeing me accomplish big things, they started getting that trust back. And you know, just we started doing little things. Like me and my middle child, we find the most haunted house there is during Halloween. Me and my oldest, we love to dance. We choreograph dances all the time. And me and my youngest, we just love to cuddle. So, you know, we have our different things, our different bonding times and what to learn. But if it was not for my parents advocating for me to my kids, we wouldn't be where we're at.
One of the things that made me very happy was when she first stopped having the drugs. The kids were very standoffish, you know, the two older ones. They were very standoffish with her because they felt hurt from her before, that she left them and left them and left them. And now they love their mother. It's wonderful.
I say push through. Don't ever let anything that ever happened to you determine what you're gonna be. Don't think of, oh, well, my mom did drugs, so let me just do it. Why is she gonna care? No.
It's not about don't give up on your kids. Don't give up on yourself. There are many, many people who have beaten this. And just like you can do it too.
You want to be better than what they are. You want to be better than what you think you're going to become. And use those faults and that trauma as strength. Push through. Don't ever quit just because it's easier. The hardest things in life are the most important things you'll ever have. And the hardest working that you feel, the more harder working you are, then I feel like that's when you feel proud of yourself.
It's not easy at first, you know. Yeah, I've done a lot of damage to my girls, but when they start seeing that you keep fighting for them, now my girls are like, they use me as a success story.
Use whatever you had in the past to go forward, you know. And don't ever settle, ever. Don't settle for anything. Don't settle just because it's easier. So I feel like that's important.
And she has been wonderful. She's a wonderful person. She really is. And she's smart. And she's very good. And she's the daughter I remember before all this happened. You know?
Yes, and she is a mom again. She was always a mom, but she is a mom to those girls. And they love their mom. And we had kind of lost her and we have her back.
I would not be where I'm at now, even with my kids back, if it wasn't for my parents.
It's difficult, but you need to realize how important you are, not just to your child, but to these children. It's just such an important role, and there are so many resources out there that I think we need to let people find out about.
In South Carolina, kinship caregivers are the quiet heroes, keeping families together while giving parents the space to heal. During Recovery Month, we honor those in recovery and the families who make recovery possible. Erin's story is proof that with love, support, and determination, redemption is within reach.